back with the WMAY morning news feed and a look at Illinois headlines. I'm Greg Bishop. 7-11, 27 degrees out there, and it's going to get cold this week. Downright frigid. We're looking at single-digit highs with the wind chill into the negative territory, so be on the lookout for that. But also be on the lookout for the ongoing election cycle, which, as is outlined here just briefly by Elisa Kaplan with Reform for Illinois, this is going to be an expensive election.
This is an insane amount of money by any standard, by national standards, by local standards, by global standards.
So you've got this ongoing issue of course, the very, very expensive race that this is set to be, and that includes not just the $90 million that Governor J.B. Pritzker gave himself on Friday. That's on top of the $30 million that he gave himself last year. That has him with $114+ million cash on hand. The only other Republican candidate that has that much is not even close. Jesse Sullivan, I think, entered the race with $11 million. So that's not even 10% of what Governor J.B. Pritzker has on hand, let alone the other candidates like Gary Rabine, State Senator Darren Bailey, former State Senator Paul Schimpf, and others. It's going to be a big money slug. But yesterday, we had another candidate enter the race, and that is Aurora Mayor Richard Irvin, and he laid out his some of the major issues that he's looking to tackle in a campaign video that he released yesterday. Here's some of that campaign video on WMAY.
I've seen it up close. Defund the police is dumb, dangerous, and it costs lives. And I believe that all lives matter. Every family should be safe. But we must dare to dream of an Illinois that is free, prosperous, and proud enough to truly be the land of Lincoln again. I'm Richard Irvin. I'm running for governor of Illinois. And with your help, we will take our state back.
So again, that's Richard Irvin. He is the Aurora mayor, and he's announced that he's running for governor. Of course, a black man would be the first black governor of Illinois if elected, though that's not necessarily a qualifier. He has a long list of accomplishments that he laid out, being the product of a single mother living in subsidized housing, being the grandson of a slave, rather a great-grandson of a slave that came to Illinois seeking freedom, and then having grown through tough times, joining the military, serving overseas, coming back and getting a law degree, then ultimately becoming involved in politics, where he was part of what, of course, is considered some of the various discussions that have gone on, not just on a local level, but on a state level when it comes to public policy. So you hear there some of the things he's laying out when it comes to public safety. But with his announcement, not only is State Representative Avery Bourne a lieutenant governor candidate with the Irvin campaign, but apparently Richard Irvin might also get a substantial amount of support from billionaire Ken Griffin. Now, I talked with Elisa Kaplan from Reform for Illinois, and she laid out some of her concerns as to what exactly is going on here when it comes to just how much money is involved in this race. And it's a lot of money that's involved, not just the $90 million that Governor J.B. Pritzker put out there, but you're looking at, with Ken Griffin getting involved, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars more at stake here.
Any standard, by national standards, by local standards, by global standards. I think everybody should be extremely concerned about this. Look at the vicious cycle that Illinois has gotten into with two billionaires. We're at the point where, yes, it's very distressing that Pritzker put $90 million of his money into his campaign account. But when you look at Ken Griffin saying that he's going to put $300 million, then how is somebody going to fight that except with a lot of money? And so we've gotten into this really vicious cycle where you've got one billionaire and you need another billionaire to counter it, or at least that's what many people are thinking right now. And it's really important for people to think of ways that we can break out of this cycle, and being educated about these issues and saying, I'm going to reject this system that anoints candidates in shadowy back rooms, with the richest people in the state deciding who's going to get their money.
So again, that was Elisa Kaplan, Reform for Illinois Executive Director, and Reform for Illinois also has the website illinoissunshine.org. If you want to delve into some of the numbers here and just how large they could get, they compile a lot of the election campaign finance data. So check that out. I'll actually share a lot more of the conversation I had with Elisa later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. But Richard Irvin is getting blasted by Republicans. You've got several Republicans that put out statements, including venture capitalist Jesse Sullivan, who's seeking the GOP nomination. He said that as a capitalist and former athlete, I love competition, even for elected office. But the people of Illinois are sick of career politicians who would be given ample opportunities to fix our states. They deserve a true conservative political outsider who can lead and make Illinois strong. And Sullivan says that he's the candidate to make that happen. You also had statements from the candidate Gary Rabine. He laid out there that criticizing Irvin's election past. And in particular, you've got the issue of how Irvin has treated other Democrats in supporting Democrats. And in particular, you've got the Democratic Governors Association laying this out when it comes to their criticism of Richard Irvin, saying that he supported Governor J.B. Pritzker, was actually a big fan of Governor J.B. Pritzker. Here's some of what that tweet had to say, a video that the Democratic Governors Association put out before Irvin even announced his candidacy.
Fortunately, we have a partner at the state level who not only sees the vision, he believes in the vision and has proven experience, technology, and innovation.
It is my honor to bring to the podium a great friend, a great leader who has guided our state with professionalism and compassion throughout this entire pandemic.
And thank you, Governor Pritzker, for being here today. It's always a pleasure to have you back here in Aurora, and for making Black and brown communities a priority for healthcare equity. And your announcement today builds upon our collective foundation in equity and inclusion. Thank you, sir.
Give a warm Aurora round of applause for Governor J.B. Pritzker. Give it up, Aurora!
So you can see how that obviously is going to give some ammunition to Republicans opposing Richard Irvin in the election cycle for the June 28th primary. So that as well is something that obviously is going to be top of mind in the weeks ahead. As we not only have the petitions being circulated to get on the ballot, but you'll also have, I'm sure, challenges for ballot access whenever they start filing those in March, gearing up for the June 28th primary. So that is definitely something in the mix this morning. Something else is possible veto of a bill that could give teachers administrative leave for COVID-19 related issues. Here is some of the back and forth about this. And in particular, you've got supporters, including the Illinois Federation of Teachers, laying out their support for COVID-19 relief for teachers. And this bill that's on the governor's desk would allow for these types of things to play out for, in particular, the teachers who are homesick because of COVID-19. So here's some of what the supporters and the opponents had to say of this legislation back in the fall when this was being heard in committee. So you'll hear from the Illinois Education Association's Unique Morris, the Illinois Federation of Teachers' John Cusick, Teamsters Representative Mike Chichio, and Illinois Principals Association's Allison Maley and Bridget Peach with Ed Red. Here's some of their statements for and against this legislation that could face a veto from Governor J.B. Pritzker.
This bill will allow for our public educators that are vaccinated or participating in weekly testing per the governor's executive order to use administrative leave instead of sick leave if they are required to isolate or quarantine due to COVID-related issues. This bill will also allow for use of administrative leave to care for a child if the child is required to isolate or quarantine due to COVID related issues. Finally, it protects the pay of our hourly support professionals due to a school closure or e learning day.
This will provide some security and consistency for bus drivers. Knowing that they're going to get paid and not have to endure 2 weeks or even 2 months of no pay will help school districts recruit and retain drivers.
The bill offers paycheck protection for non-instructional employees when a school is closed or e-learning days are triggered. To be eligible for paid administrative leave, employees would be required to be fully vaccinated or undergoing weekly testing as provided by their school district.
We would like to see at least a sunset for these provisions and a limit on administrative days to continue to provide quality in-person education to our students.
A lot of our districts have implemented MOUs, agreements, some that allow teachers who need to quarantine to commute remotely. They have been able to put the safety of not only their students, but their staff on the forefront by being able to make those agreements. And we are concerned that this legislation would not honor those agreements and the hard work they've put in.
So again, those are some of the pros and cons about this measure that's on the governor's desk. Now, the measure was sent to the governor November 30th. He has until January 29th to act. He could either do nothing and the bill becomes law, he could sign it and it becomes law, or he could veto it, and that's what's expected. Chicago Tribune reporting that he sent the teachers union's letter saying that he's going to oppose this thing. So when he does veto it, the Illinois legislature would have 15 days to override the bill, but it passed with overwhelming majorities, supermajority, enough, a veto-proof majority. So we'll see what happens with that story. Another story that you can see is what happens with the Illinois Supreme Court and the lockbox amendment. Remember approving the lockbox amendment so many years ago, back in 2016? Well, the Illinois Supreme Court's going to decide on a case on how those lockbox taxes and fees can be spent. The Illinois Supreme Court last week hearing this case, and in particular, they heard from attorneys representing not just Cook County, but also attorneys representing contractors and laborers. And some of the arguments here were, in particular, from the plaintiff's attorneys. John Fitzgerald, an attorney representing a group of transportation contractors, he argued that the local governments are going against the wishes of the electorate who approved this amendment.
People of Illinois voted to approve the Safe Roads Amendment. They had every right to expect that the amendment they approved would be enforced as written.
Now, Cook County's Assistant State's Attorney, Amy Crawford, she said that Cook County wants the amendment to apply to taxes collected by the states, not taxes that are collected on a local level. But again, you're seeing that the arguments from Fitzgerald outline a different approach that they would like to see for the plaintiffs.
And it is no mystery why the people of Illinois approved this amendment as written. For generations, people all across our state have paid enormous taxes on transportation.
So what happens with this? Well, we'll see what the Illinois Supreme Court does in the weeks ahead. But that's just some more of some Illinois headlines that you need to know about. Now, the Illinois legislature off this week, but they do have a slew of virtual committees. I think there's like 8 in the House and there's 4 in the Senate or something like that. But they're going to be touching on all kinds of legislation. And another headline for you, the DMV remains closed. They were set to open this week. They're not going to be open, so driver services facilities are actually going to remain closed through January 24th because of continued COVID-19 cases. But starting today, those wanting the commercial driver's license test, they can do that in person in Springfield, Rockford, or Marion. But another headline that's rather tragic this morning is one that involves the tragic tornado that ripped apart an Amazon warehouse. And you've got what's considered the first lawsuit filed on behalf of a 26-year-old Amazon employee, contractor, who was killed in that, one of 6 people killed in that. And some of the allegations here are that the employees were required to work instead of being told to evacuate as the storm approached. And the Amazon facility didn't have a basement or any type of structure that would help them and keeping them safe. So again, those are just some of the things that you should know about here in Springfield when it comes to what's going on in the state. All right. It is now 7:27. All right. Let's check that time again. 7:27.